right, it's Wednesday, so it's time to do Mr. Nailsin's Wednesday Comics. And what have I been reading? Well, some Conan the Barbarian, but in this particular case, this is another special event series similar to Blackstone, but this time it's Scourge of the Serpent. And it's basically the same thing. I mean, the Robert E. Howard characters all join together to deal with the threat of the ancient serpent god of Set. And it's more of the same. It's all right. The art's good. It's intriguing. It's got a lot of cool mood and atmospherics to it, and that sort of thing. And it's a showcase of the Robert E. Howard characters beyond just Conan. And they all exist in a shared universe. See? Huh? But anyway, that's about it. I mean, it weaves in and out of the different eras, as you would expect. It's not quite like the Blackstone went, where they actually meet and all that sort of stuff. But that's about it. It's more of the same thing. And they each have to deal with the minions of Set in their own ways. And, it's fine, but it doesn't beat out the basics of the Conan the Barbarian title, which remains the best of the batch. And I suppose this acts, and not suppose, I'm sure it is, this is a showcase of the other characters who might get their own titles. Probably more prominent of them would be Solomon Kane. I'm not sure about the others, perhaps as backup features in either the Conan title or the Savage Sword of Conan, something like that. But Solomon Kane could probably hold his own title, but the others I'm not so sure about. But as backup features, that'd probably work better, and then get their own collection. But overall, I've pretty much concluded that the periodical, the floppy, probably needs to be abandoned and just put out books. Just put out, the trade paperbacks and of course the hardback, depending on what's in your budget, and leave it at that, And even those, you could probably get on a schedule to publish quarterly or whatnot, and have backup features in that, where your main character is holding it, carrying it, and all that. And then, oh, look, here's this other character in their own story. So anyway, there you go. There's some of the covers of the series. There's the first one. I think this was number 2, I believe. Different artists doing the covers and all that. This, of course, Della Torre, which you wish was drawing all of it because he's channeling John Buscema. It's just the best, but they've had good artists for the most part on Conan. So there you go. Oh, look, got to kill that snake, the ultimate enemy of man. And there you go. There's the different eras of characters dealing with the machinations of Set. Meanwhile, when it comes to titles giving reverence to Saturday morning fun of the past, Space Ghost it's an okay title. It is an all ages thing, and but it's still not that bad. It's still a fun little simplistic romp, but not, interestingly enough, doesn't fall prey to just absolute cheese. It's just, for what it is, it's pretty good. But here, this is like the concluding story of Space Ghost and the kids trying to prevent an interstellar war between the crystalline people and the space sharks. Yes, they call themselves space sharks. So, but it's in keeping with, I suppose, the trappings and monikers of the cartoon. so anyway, they had a murder mystery two-parter story, and they resolve it and all that. And but then after Space Sharks, space vampires. So, oh no, will space ghosts survive? Well, don't worry, they figure it out. But it's kind of funny, but at the same time, it's like, oh no, this is a serious threat, and it's almost all is lost. But superheroes in space, so they win in the end. But of course, I only want the Jay Lee covers because I just love the art. Wish he was doing the interiors. Nothing against the actual artist, and he's all right. But man, that would be cool. But anyway. And then another story. This deals with the kid's grandpa and all that. And then this other sinister villain shows up. And this cover kind of gives you an idea of what's afoot. But you got to read it to find out. I don't think it's too much of a spoiler to say Space Ghost prevails in the end, of course. But nevertheless, there you go. Oh, yeah, and I forgot. The Space Shark versus the Crystalline people. There was another sinister hand at play. And that will have to be a mystery to be solved another day. But anyway, there you go. Space Ghost. And they're fine. They're good little adventures. And if you have kids, it's fine for them to look at it as well. So once again, best of the batch easily is Geiger from Ghost Machine. You just don't get any better. Conan the Barbarian holds its own as being one of the best titles out there. But here in this one, because the miniseries special it's all right, but Meanwhile, we have Geiger, which is part adventure, some amount of horror, and just absolute tragedy. Very sad. Once again, Geiger, he's decided, I just want to be alone. All hope is lost except for Barney the dog. Although he keeps telling Barney, you don't have to stay if you don't want to. I'm not going to keep you here, I'm glad you're here. But if you want to leave and go back to the stupid knight and the scientist, well, hey man, that's your business. It's cool. And then suddenly a new player enters the scene. So the Northerner makes his appearance here. And of course, he's one of these characters that's the connective tissue of I guess it's the Unknown saga for Ghost Machine. At first I thought everything Ghost Machine was connected, but it's not. Some of the titles are, but not all of them. Like Rook is off on its own. Hyde Street's off on its own, I think. And that sort of thing. But here, with Geiger and Redcoat and Junkyard Joe, that sort of thing. And then, of course, the Northerner, who is a man from a future that was not supposed to happen, and I guess never really did, because we find out here that he tells him, like, well, in my timeline, the South won the Confederate War. And Geiger's like, no, that's not what happened. So he's from an alternate timeline, and his time travel mission is to prevent the South from winning. But it's like, well, just jump timelines, which apparently already has, so I don't know. Meanwhile, of course, in Geiger's world, an unknown war erupted, which remains unknown. So a nuclear war broke out, but nobody knows why it happened. Yeah. So it remains a mystery. Yeah. So anyway, there you go. Northerner makes his appearance in Geiger, and where will it go? Well, you got to follow the series to find out. Yeah. So once again, Geiger's not the most hospitable guy to be around, but events throw them together, and the art is absolutely spectacular, and it's great. And there's a kind of a sad scene with Geiger being depressed, and Barney's like, hmm? Hmm? So, but he's a loyal dog, you know, and he's got two heads to think this through, so it works out. But anyway, of course, Gary Frank returns, so it's absolutely excellent, top-notch art, and really cool. And the story continues. But the thing about Ghost Machine and the production quality is second to none. It is absolutely top-notch. To the point, like I'm saying, look, your best bet is just to buy the trades. And that's the rule of thumb, really. And it's like, I guess the habit for who remains interested in these things, the floppy is the standard, you know. And then their variant cover thing goes, I don't care about that. You know, it's like I make an exception with the Space Ghost because I like Jay Lee's art. But other than that, that's about it. I usually just buy the main one. I'm not going to buy all the variant covers, but other people go for that. And, of course, that makes up for the losses overall because you got the same guy buying more than one copy. So, you know, okay. But it's, I don't know, the gimmick's 30 years old now. Whatever. But the quality of the individual issues of Ghost Machine comics is so damn good. It's, well, it just makes it all the more better to purchase. It puts all the other ones to shame. But ultimately, a collection, probably for the best. And plus, I'm sure like it'll have like, you know, sketch art and, you know, cover galleries in the back of the book and stuff like that. That's always cool. So that'd probably be the best bet. But damn, Ghost Machine is just the best. So anyway, there we go. Once again, Geiger for the win. Probably the absolute best title going in comics today. But hey, what's going on with the big two? Well, not a whole lot with Marvel. Meanwhile, DC overtook Marvel last year and finally beats them because Marvel has sunk so low that all DC has to do is show up. You know, that's pretty much it. Now, they've had some books that are pretty good, but they always fizzle. They go off on these tangents, fall apart, whatever. And then the events, good Lord, they keep going on. Anyway, they long since took over Mad Magazine, so to speak. For all intents and purposes, Mad Magazine's over, but whatever. So now they're going to do this spoof of DC. So that's a little announcement, and I thought I'd take a look at it. And, of course, it'll arrive April 1st. No joke. So a 64-page celebration of comics, chaos, and questionable decisions. Giggle tee-hee. So there you go. There's some parody art. Oh, look, it's Absolute Batman, too. Huh? Yeah. Yeah, there's Superman who finds the whole thing hilarious. I guess Wonder Woman does, too. So anyway, there's Alfred E. Newman. The new 52. Okay, well, DC is proud and slightly concerned, giggle tee-hee, to announce Mad About DC, a 64-page one-shot arriving April 1st, 2026. Yes, April 1st. And no, this isn't a prank, unless you count letting Chip Zdarsky run this thing as his guest editor. A prank on the DC Universe itself? You'd have to ask Chip. They say at DC there's nowhere to go but down after writing Batman. And yeah, it's true, said Zdarsky. It's very true. Well, he did a crappy job on Batman, so this is probably going to be crap too. I don't know. Mad About DC brings together an all-star lineup of writers and artists to lovingly roast, parody, and generally make a mess of the characters fans hold dear. So it's going to be like Marvel. A whole book as if it was written by Marvel. This project embraces the spirit of Mad Magazine in the best possible way, said Marie Jobbins, DC's editor-in-chief. Mad has a long tradition of sharp, fearless satire, poking fun at everything, including DC, with real wit and craft. When Chip pitched a project that would roast the DC universe, it was clear he would assemble the right team. These creators know our characters inside and out, which is why they can twist them in ways that feel both surprising and smart. That kind of playful irreverence is what Mad does best. Well, what are we going to get? So you'll get Sergio Aragonés. I never could figure out how to pronounce it. It's embarrassing. He's been around, especially with Mad, forever. And I never learned. God, I'm lazy. Anyway, with a mad look at comic book stores, the few that are left, you know. Jim Zub, hey, he's the Conan the Barbarian writer. And Ramon Perez teaming for Guy versus Spy. So instead of Spy versus Spy, it's just some guy. And one of the spies, I guess. I don't know. A brand new DC fold-in by Charles Soule and Ryan Brown. A parade of mad-style parodies skewering the DC comic books you love. And a few you've always hated anyway. From Kyle Starr, all these people will be involved. All these people. So, whether you're a lifelong Mad Magazine fan, and yeah, I guess I am. I mean, look at the way I draw. Yeah. Anyway, a DC diehard, well, yeah, I guess so. I mean, I was a Spider-Man fan for a long time in my teens. But I got to admit, DC really caught hold. And especially now. I mean, Marvel's been dead for years, so. Yeah, okay, DC diehard, or simply someone who enjoys watching respected creators make questionable choices. Mad About DC promises to fulfill your every comic book dream, or at least 3 or 4 of them. Giggle tee-hee. Well, Mad About DC goes on sale April 1st, 2026, wherever comics are sold. Where's that? Nobody really knows anymore. No whoopee cushions included, giggle. The issue features a main cover by Dan, mad about gluten labeling because it should actually be clear for, or else, what's the point? Panosian. $7.99. Cardstock cover variants by Simon Beasley and Chip Zdarsky. I didn't even know he could draw. Can he? So anyway, there's Alfred E. Newman farting and Batman and Superman getting sick. It's funny because it's Superman blowing chunks. Is it kryptonite farts? I don't know. Batman's just, he's fine just holding his nose. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, for the latest update on funny DC comic books, parodies of homages, and whatever DC comes up with next, follow DC on social media or visit DC.com. The DC Universe Infinite Digital Subscription Platform, that's DCUI, is a great way to explore classic comic book stories. For details and a free trial, visit DCUniverseInfinite.com. DCUI is not available in all countries and not intended for children. Yeah, because they got their Vertigo stuff on there, and it's all nasty. But a lot of the really old stuff would be perfectly fine, but, well, what are you going to do? I guess they got to have a filter where the kids only get that. I don't know. DC Universe Infinite used to be DC Universe, the streaming service. Remember that? Actually, somebody thought that might work, you know. Look, as a DC fan, it was great. Everything ever, there were the comics, of course, and then every show, movie, all of it was on that thing, plus the new ones they did. But nobody was going to keep that afloat. Yeah. So what are you going to do? Yeah. Superman fights Homelander. Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. I imagine quite a bit of it might be repeats of, you know, Super Duper Man and stuff like that. But How many copies of that do I already have? Will I buy this? Nah, I don't know. Yeah, probably. So I'll talk to you about it in April, I guess. I wonder what else DC's got going on. Well, they got the Absolute thing going, and if they hadn't been promoting, outright murder, I'd still be reading it. But Absolute Batman in the whole thing, you got Absolute Wonder Woman. And then she's going to introduce something. A new Suicide Squad. Boy, I wonder what take they'll take. Because it's an alternate universe where things happen differently. So what are they going to do with Absolute Suicide Squad? Well, apparently the lineup will consist of Dr. Poison, yeah, okay, Giganta, yeah, these are Wonder Woman characters, Cheetah, Ara, I don't know who that is, and Zatanna. Although the original design for the goddess Aphrodite was also included. So I guess she's going to be a member too. Wait a minute. Hey, there's a pattern here. They're all women. Now I know it's a woman. Yeah, but she's stuck in this bulky suit, even though this is her new and improved suit. And look, they fashioned the butt belt things to make it look like she's wearing a garter belt with, thigh stockings, even though, no, it's not. But she kind of looks like she has a little smile on her helmet now. Isn't that nice? So there's Cheetah. Now, keep in mind, this is the concept art. It's not the full, although the Dr. Poison looks to be fully finished here, but not so much for Cheetah. And I guess she can't stop getting in cat fights, and so looks like she really got her ass handed to her. Her suit's all ripped off and torn because they really couldn't think of anything else to do with Cheetah. Looks like, I guess it's supposed to be like her leg is cat-like, but the one back there just looks normal. So it's looking like she broke her leg, and boy, she's useless. She got her ass handed to her. So she needs a new outfit because that's just falling apart. Yeah. And, or she has mange. It could be that. So here's Giganta. I don't know if they're going to have her come out as trans and that she was really a man once, maybe. But then again, it's like, the gigantism that I suppose these are supposed to help her become a giant. Yeah. So I guess that's how they'll do that. But still, she stays big in her legs, kind of in her arms, but mostly her legs. And those things are to hide the cankles because they're very unsightly, and she doesn't like you seeing that. And then her hair's big. Yeah. So there you go, Giganta. Well, here's Zatanna, who's, into fetishes and stuff, obviously, because, her suit, she had fishnet pantyhose because it's part of her magician outfit. She makes a living as a magician. She does shows and stuff, And then she hangs out with the Justice League. But now I guess she broke the law or something, and she's on the Suicide Squad, despite the fact that she was never a member of it. But, whatever. Somehow, some way, in the alternate universe, it's just going to be a bunch of man-hating bitches, So, there you go. Okay, so this is the Atlantean. I don't know if they're going to do Absolute Aquaman and he'll look like the creature from the Black Lagoon. I don't know, but I guess that's her deal. And she's also, she couldn't be a man, even though the Suicide Squad had always had men and women as a member. But this is supposed to be some sort of feminist statement by making, so to be less sexist by having it be all women. That's being anti-sexist when you're mad and bigoted towards the male sex. See? I know you think it's misandry, but no, it's about female pride or some shit. I don't know. Yeah, it's stupid. They're stupid. So if the idea was just to make it, well, it's a team of Wonder Woman villains. Well, yeah. I mean, one or two of them, of course, she has male villains too, Yeah. And they're supposed to be criminals who are forced to go do missions for the government. I imagine that's still part of the deal, I guess. I don't know. But the blatant misandry, come on. That's what it is, yeah. Overlaps any potential for story. Now, the Wonder Woman, Absolute Wonder Woman, story-wise and narrative, has been the best of the Absolute titles. Absolute Batman runs the show and is the most popular, but Absolute Wonder Woman, story and narrative-wise, is much smarter than the Batman title, and it's just better. And now this, so, yeah, but it's always this thing. It needs to be the all-female Avengers finally, and all that. And there was at least a female Avenger. Like the men outnumber the women typically. Man, it's because it's a boy's brand, It's like stuff geared towards girls it's mostly girls. Stuff geared towards boys, it's mostly boys. That's no sinister plot. That's just how that goes. Yeah, there's female fans of superhero comics, but they're greatly outnumbered by their male counterparts. And the same is true in genres that play towards women. Yeah? You can't figure that out? No, I guess not. So this is Aphrodite. Huh. The goddess of love and beauty. The most beautiful goddess ever. She's so good looking, she's too hard to see, come together and stuff. So I guess that's the deal. Yeah. Didn't really do a whole lot of work on this concept. Aphrodite thoughts, I barely thought about it. Inspired by marble veil sculptures. Not this one, maybe. I know what he's talking about, or her, I guess. But, this one's a little more like that. But, I don't know. Anyway, there you go. Probably the best rendered one is Dr. Poison here. So, oh boy, a brand new Suicide Squad coming to a Wonder Woman comic near you. So, yeah, all this stuff about, wow, boy, I can't wait. You want to meet Ara, Queen of the Fishmen. Yeah. So I guess, like I said, this might be, Ara is more of a setup for what their absolute Aquaman might be, provided they ever get there. I don't know. Yeah. So this might be where Absolute Wonder Woman derails itself. Maybe not, but still, the choice. You know why it's there, and every time something like that happens, it just kicks you out of the story. The story in and of itself might be all right, but it's this dumb crap, Anyway, oh boy, look at all the stuff you got to look forward to.